Okay, welcome to the November astrophotography group meeting. We'll likely get a few more people join us. I don't see a lot of newbies on here. One of the things that we always do first is and it really doesn't have to be limited to newbies. Um, are there any technical questions that we got all this brain power here that you'd like to have some input on? If not, we'll start the program. So anybody that's got a questions for the group?
I have a question when we get there, though. I don't know if it's now or not, but
It's now. It's now.
how do you Pix Insight using narrowband? How do you get rid of star halos, especially in the sulfur and oxygen?
Halo be gone, right, John?
Yep.
That really works well.
Keith,
Steady Astro.
have you downloaded the SETI Astro tools?
Yes, yes.
Halo Be Gone is a great halo reducer. Another even better one, in my opinion, is Blur X.
Yeah, you can adjust the halos in that. So
What was that one?
Blur X. You got to pay for that one.
Yep, I got that one. Blur X.
Yeah,
So there's this thing called Halo. You just slide it to the left, and that reduces them. You can reduce them pretty significantly.
Yep.
Okay, I haven't tried that yet.
There are some, yeah, you need to be careful. I think, at least I've had trouble with getting not leaving artifacts and such, but play around with it, just adjust it and move on and try, you can always go back.
Okay, do you need to do it in linear or non-linear state?
Boy, I always like linear. I'm non-linear. I'm sorry. I always like non-linear. That's just the way I do it.
Okay.
I do it. I do it before I send it to SPCC, so I do it linear.
Halos, you try to get rid of the halos.
I go ahead and knock them out right then and there.
Well, I do the deconvolution part of it for.
Mhm.
We'll get into it. We'll play with it. How about that?
That's right.
That's one of the things we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we got 13 folks, and Jennifer, how are you? We haven't seen you for a while.
Hey, yeah, I'm all right. I've been very busy.
Well, good. I'm
I'm
glad
not
you
gonna
joined
make
us.
it this time.
Well, this is a time for if you had any questions that you might want to ask the group on any telescope, camera, astrophotography question. If not,
I have a question. I don't know that this is just a simple answer, but do you have any recommendations for a telescope just like for starting out that's not gonna break the bank?
boy, do we.
Great.
Well, the one that I've recommended lately is the robotic telescope, C-Star, and there's varieties of those. We had one of our members a few months ago bought what was the Celestron 8, Steve, that we took him out to Astroflats, and
Right.
he just struggled and he was ready to give up. And he actually doesn't live very far from me. And I said, well, come over. I've got the Stellina. I'll just show you how easy this is. And Stellina's getting archaic nowadays. And within hours, he went home and ordered a C-Star. So take a look at. Do you have that screen, Steve, that you had the C-Star? Did I see that earlier? Sure.
Yeah. I was trying to buy an angle rotator, but
Well, I know, but it's sure what it looks like.
Yeah, there's the C-Star 50, and then I just released a C-Star 30. And I've been looking at the Dwarf 3 that's soon to be released here soon, because you can do the equatorial mode fairly easily. And so I've been looking at that one, and it's 30 millimeter like the C-Star 30 is.
yeah.
And it's pretty much all just set it down. You can do the polar alignment on it real easily and just pick what you want and let it go.
Plus, it saves FITS files, so
Yep.
you can process those.
Oh, that's cool.
That's the way to start, Jennifer. And if you don't want to lug a lot of gear around, the Dwarf allows you to do 30-second exposures, and I hear they're going to kick that up.
Yeah, they get this the Dwarf 3. It looks like you can do 60-second exposure.
Yeah, which
I'm
going to have one of those in 15 days.
You'll have that the EQ mode that gives you the 60 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have to do landscape, panoramas, and everything else too, because it's got two different cameras on it. And then the C Star 30 has got two cameras too. It's got a wide field and a narrow field.
Right. I saw a
It's
guy
got a newer sensor.
I saw the guy take a dwarf out during the day and point it at a bird and followed that bird around wherever it went.
Yep.
Wow.
It's so much easier nowadays versus 20 years.
Yeah.
Can you call that picture up? Just show what it looks like.
This is the new one that John Holderman was talking about. It's a 30, and this is the 50.
Well, you're gonna share first though.
Am I not sharing?
No.
Nope.
That's John's fault. There we go. You see it now, I bet. So there's the 30.
Okay.
It's
Does
just
the
a
bank?
robot.
Does the
You
bank?
stick a USB in there and you pull out all your data and you process it. And here's the 50.
That's
Okay,
that's
awesome.
really good
Wow.
starting price. I mean, for getting
Mhm.
into the business.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they're very lightwight.
And
Those don't even look like telescopes.
They don't, do they? Well, that's you can do what what Merrill was talking about, that guy who bought the 1970s technology telescopes where you got to point them at 3 stars.
Oh yeah.
So you got to crouch down to every
yeah,
position. You got to know. You got to be. If you're 80 years old, you got to be a yoga expert to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's almost. I mean, and that what the telescopic stuff has done is you just turn a button and you're ready to roll.
and to give you a broader perspective, about 3 months ago, Mylan did a full presentation. Go to our YouTube channel, and he laid out the comparisons of a whole lot of them.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's really, really good, but you can get into it, $300-400 easy. So
Yeah.
what's the dwarf go for nowadays?
It's
The Dwarf 3 is what, about
100.
360, I think. It's cheaper, a little cheaper. It's about the C Star 30 price range.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
That's a good
where is-
question, and lots of people ask it. Before I would stammer around. Now that the robotics are out there, it makes it easy. So what is that, Steve? You're posting?
I just dropped in. I dropped John Holderman's talk on mosaics.
Oh, okay. We'll use
Okay,
that.
we're going to deal with mosaic data today, but we're not going to talk about mosaics except for the quick 3 steps that I did.
Okay.
But I'm encouraging everybody to John did a spectacular job on that talk.
That's why I always
Maybe I
pick
need to go look at that.
That's why I
I'll
always
look at
pick
that
on
thing.
John.
I mean, that's a very complicated subject, so that he made it pretty easy. So I wanted to drop that in there.
So okay. So any other questions before we get started here? Anybody? Okay. Well, the topic tonight was actually started by Rick and Ann. They wanted us back in time. We had Alberto's telescope down in Chile that we were able to use, and Brent and Brian and some others captured a bunch of images, and they wanted to see take one of those and process it from beginning to end. And we tried the tarantula. Steve and I tried the tarantula first, and it just wasn't enough data to really do a good job. But we did find one that's a mosaic, and so Steve's going to start off with the WBPP portion of it, and then I'm going to transition to all of us are going to be processing as we go, just to experiment to see how it goes. So Steve, you're up.
All right. Well, crash course calibration frames are what they are. This is the light. This is the dark, and as you can see, this right here is expected. It's amp glow, and it's just in virtually every sub $1,000 camera.
What's amp glow?
What's that?
I said, what's amp glow?
So amp glow is
Understand.
the chip does that. If it's they were designed to do that because that's all they could do back in the day, and the the imaging chip generates that. And so, but what you can do is you can process it out with calibration frames. And if you look here, you probably can't see it very well, but this bright light is making
He's
this.
there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's what we're going to. That's why we're going to start with WBPP so that you know how to grab these frames and what you can do with them. This is like the filthy dirty camera we were using, and these are dust bunnies, and these problems are also in the lights, and they get amplified when you stack them. So this will calibrate out any problems you have. So this is called a flat. This is called a dark. This is called a flat. Now, if you have a DSL camera, you need to do bias frames, but we have a fairly decent camera here. So this is instead of flat dark, and we will process the noise out of the flat with the flat dark of the thermal noise.
It's a CMOS camera.
Right,
Well, okay. One before you leave that,
right.
talked about how many frames of each.
Of the what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, as you create your darks.
Yeah. So let's see how many Brent did. So we're doing 120s. So this is how many darks we have to use calibration. Flat darks. We have that many. That's all he can get. Regulars can't be choosers when you're remote in Chile. Yeah. And then flats. And then let's go look at the lights now.
Well, I mean, but the question always is, how many darks do you add? Some people take 50 or 100. 10 is all I've ever used. Same way with flats, about 7 to 10, and the flat darks about 7 to 10, which is
That's
Brent,
what I do.
that's kind of what Brent used.
Yeah. The rule of thumb I hear is you want more. I'm told you do double the darks to flats. I do 8 flats. If you do 8 flats, you do 16, but 16 darks. But I just do 10, but 10 of each, just to keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Yeah.
How do you take darks remotely in Chile? How does that work?
Well, you have a guy go out there every night, and you tell him to cover up the the telescope.
Oh, Pedro down there.
Yeah,
Get it
that's right.
going.
And we just Brent and I and Merrill and a couple of other
Brian.
guys
Yeah, Brian.
would talk to these people and just say, we got our dark library the first cloudy day. We just did. What did he do? He did
It is funny. They had
30
cameras.
seconds. Yeah. He did 30 seconds because of the globulars. 60, 120, 180, and 300.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So what we're doing today is the 120, and then we're going to do 3 panels.
So if I was going to do a dark library for myself, would I want to use the same exposure links with my lens cap on?
Yes.
Yes. So you need to be strategic. So 30, 60, 120, 500 at the temperature you're going to shoot at. So you probably got a cooling camera.
I do.
So you set that to -10 whatever Celsius, and then you shoot your darks at that temperature. And also the gain. So if you're playing around with different gains, you're going to have a dark for every gain you do.
Oh, okay.
So what I do is I just do unity gain, which is 90 on my camera, and then I don't have to worry about darks.
Keep it there.
Yeah.
The one thing about you were asking about the darks, there was a camera inside the building where the telescope was at down in Chile, and every once in a while you'd see the guy walking around, the maintenance guy.
Yeah.
Doing maintenance on because there was like about a dozen telescopes inside of that building.
Right.
So it was kind of a cool opportunity, and we had some fun with it anyway. So
Right.
we're gonna have some fun tonight with it too, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
I hope so.
Okay, Steve.
Okay. All right. So WBPP, the first step before you even load WBPP is you go get an image calibration utility called Cosmetic Corrector. And you choose Auto Detect and Hot Sigma. And I'm going to show you why here. You drag the process to here and rename that, just CC for cos. So WBPP is going to use this process to get rid of hot pixels. And a lot of people aren't aware that there's really no such thing as a color camera. Everything is gray. But when you have a one-shot color camera, you have these pixels. And this was shot, this Chile camera is one shot. So you have red, green, green, blue. So these gray areas, when you debay it, take that, this pattern of red, green, green, blue. Let's go ahead and just do it real quick. What would that be? That'd be a space. There it is. So it's taking this debay pattern, this one process, and do that. And there it is. That's the RGB color. And if you look, do you see that? You see the spot right here?
Oh, yeah, the hot pixel.
Yeah. This camera's not bad, actually.
Go back and find the other one.
Here's one right here. You see it? So these hot pixels we want to get rid of. There's one here. There's one here. And that's what the cosmetic corrector does.
I thought you were going to demonstrate by running it. That's okay.
Yeah, well, we got a lot of this is good. This is time, like we got a time crunch here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to run WBPP right now. You choose script, batch processing, and weighted batch processing. And here it is. So what I like to do is there's multiple ways to add files to this thing. Believe it or not, this data is so good and the FITS headers are so correct. We could throw all this in one folder and you hit directory and open it and it put everything in the right place. But what I'm going to do is just kind of do it one at a time. I'm going to show you how. I'm going to bring in the lights real quick. And here's panel one. This is a mosaic. We've got 3 panels. So there's, you see how it's named panel one? That's important later.
He captured this with Nina, is that right?
Yes, he did.
So
And Nina did a good job with the FITS headers.
Yep.
And here's panel 2. Let's get some more files. So here they all are. So this tells us that there was no filter and all the exposures were 1/22. So now let's start bringing in the darks we talked about. Darks we showed you here. There's the amp glow. We're going to fix it. We're going to calibrate that with the light. These are 1/22. Let's bring in flat darks are also darks. We're going to bring those in. The flat darks were here. It's going to calibrate the problems we have in the flats. Then we're going to go over to flats and add those. All right. So we got the darks, the flats, and the lights. So now we can move on to, if Ann was here, she has a problem on her camera where she has linear lines. And if you have an old camera and they're starting to rear their ugly head, you would turn on linear defects. And if you have any dark horizontal or vertical lines, I think even Devin had problems with his chip once with that. This would eliminate those. But everything else, I recommend just keep the default unless you have problems. And then this calibration screen is really handy. If you click on lights, do you notice how different things come up depending on what you click on over here? I'm clicking on lights, and I'm going to turn off cosmetic correction. That this is a brand new feature they have that I don't think is good as just the actual process. It's using your darks to get rid of the hot pixels. Well, I had about 3 or 4 at the end, so I didn't like it. So what I recommend you do until I figure out what's going on there is do what we did in the past and choose that process I created at the very beginning right here.
So don't use the automatic, use the.
The automatic just for me just doesn't work yet.
Okay.
Maybe I'm the hot signal. Maybe I got to kick it up. So that's just work that needs to be done. So click on these things tells you a lot. So it tells you I've got the lights here, and these darks that are green are going to calibrate properly to the lights, and the flat is going to calibrate properly. It wouldn't be green. So if that was like 80 seconds, that color nothing would have happened there. I'm going to click on the flat, and you can see how that flat darks, short exposure to flat darks, is going to calibrate with the flat. So this is a good check just to make sure everything is going well. And you can see it's auto VNG. This is what debays it in the cosmetic correction.
So you use VNG process? I mean.
Yeah. VNG is the highest res one available, so and that's the best one. Another thing you could do, well, let's go over to post calibration. Yeah, okay. So then when you're done with calibration and checking everything, I'm going to post calibration. It tells you the integration time. As you notice, our goal is to get 3 images, 3 RGB images. We'll combine 3 RGB images because we have 3 panels. And if you look here, this is going to do 1. So this wouldn't even work. Because we're doing a mosaic, we got to do something special. But I want to talk about drizzling data. I drizzle all my data now. This data we're not going to drizzle today because it's already, when you combine all these panels, it's going to be a huge file. And drizzling really kicks up file size. But you can click on something to enable drizzle. And you can go up to 3 times. And But again, we're not going to deal with that today.
What does drop shrink mean?
I don't know. I've always went with defaults on those.
I'm just.
Yeah. And then, okay, so
Steve,
now.
Steve, I got a quick question on drizzle. How
Sure.
do you know what to set the scale to?
If you're willing to wait for it, I recommend 3.
Okay.
You don't want to do it on this file though, because it's a gig.
Yeah, I always do mine on 2. And what it does is, so if you enable it and put a scale of 2, my 533 is at 3,000 by 3,000. It'll spit out a 6,000 by 6,000 image. So if I do 3, that's 9,000 by 9,000. So that scale is going to take your length and width and multiply it out by that scale number.
So it's a true scale. It's truly the scale then.
It is.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it is, to me, it is one of the most extraordinary things that they send PixInsight, and some NASA engineer developed it.
They developed it for the Hubble data.
It really helps with stars.
Hubble. Way back when.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Russ Croman highly recommends you drizzle your data. He says that BlurX works much better if you drizzle it.
What we did, Steve and I, and I guess Alan was with us too. We did an experiment over the weekend. And we looked at one scale, or scale of 1, and scale of 3. And we just got our way through it. The 3 makes a difference, and just in the resolution of the output.
And Merrill, wouldn't you say it even improved the nebulous material?
Oh yeah, everything.
Yeah, everything just looked better. Not only the stars.
I was surprised.
Yeah, and you can only do this if you on your mount you choose what is that, John? What is that setting?
You got dither.
Dither, yeah.
You got dither, and if you get it deep down into, you got to look at your image scale and your scope. If you're oversampled or undersampled, it works better on one of those. Whereas like my 533 on my little GT71, it works great at scale of 2x. I can probably do even 3x. But if I put my 533 on my 9 1/4, its image scales to the point whereas putting drizzle in it doesn't really give you that much more data, because you're going to get what you can right there.
That's handy. All right, so if you remember, I talked about lights, and and everything is named panel. And so thank you, Brent, for naming all these files correctly. But if you didn't, you could drag all of your like panel 1 in a folder and call it panel 1. And this keyword thing I'm about to show you will work as well. But since all of these things are properly named, I'm going to add a keyword. Remember, our problem is we need 3 final RGBs, not 1, because we're really creating 3 files here. And I'm just going to type panel here and hit the plus button. And you see it's still not working, and that's because it has to be post. And this is the most unintuitive thing I've ever seen in my life. You click these gears here, and did you see what happened here? Now we're going to have 3 proper files for this mosaic. And then one thing I've done many times is we can take those debate images in this process and split them into, even though this is one-shot color, we can split these into RGB files. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to separate the RGBs, and then I'm going to tell it to recombine. So now when it gets rid of chromatic aberration, improves that, it improves halos when you do this, and it just improves star quality. And when it does the integration and the stacking, it vastly improves the image. It's noticeable. So now, and then there's another. What was that, John?
Oh, I said it, and it takes a little bit longer too.
Oh, it takes a lot longer. Yeah,
it takes a lot longer, right?
Yeah, and then if you add the drizzle, if you add your drizzle to it, then when it gets some of all that, then it does the drizzle data along the way, and that takes a lot longer too.
Yeah, I know. I've been all day. Now, normally with the registration reference, you would do auto if you're not doing a mosaic, but you got to remember to choose the keyword here so that it helps balance the 3 panels that we're about ready to create. So it's going to create a reference frame for the RGB, but also a reference frame for the whole thing together. And really, then we go to pipeline, and this tells us what's going to happen, and how much space it's going to take up. So right here, this pipeline is showing us that all the integration and calibration of the calibration frames, the cosmetic correction is going to take that much. When it debays, the file is going to be that, it's going to do that much in gigabytes. And then it starts moving to registration and aligning all those stars up. But LN reference is an exclusive PixInsight thing, and their local, and the way they handle local normalization, and it blows away Cyril or anything out there. It is proprietary right now. And what it does is basically it solves your gradient problems. I mean, so this, and when you fix your gradients with DBE, having all this work done, which is very time consuming, really improves the quality of your image. So this is one reason right now that PixInsight is the way to go for stacking, in my opinion. And then everything is going to be integrated, and you can turn on and off auto crop if you want. John, didn't you tell me you don't like the auto crop?
Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, it's okay, but when you got one frame kind of way out, it's kind of really offset. It might crop more than you want.
Right.
I don't use it at all.
I usually manually crop when I look at the data.
Yeah. Where's that setting?
It's go back to your lights tab.
Okay.
Bottom at the where image integration at the bottom of the checkbox there says auto crop.
Ah, thank you. There you go. All right. So I think we go with John with that, because John, I've had, something turn like 4:3 aspect ratio to 16:9 because I had auto crop.
Yeah.
And so I see what you're saying there.
I mean, if you're shooting the same target day after day after day, like I did 29 days with the WR 134,
Mhm.
when I look at all the data, since I did minimal on the dithering, night after night, I started the same position and did it a little differently. I didn't have any weird frame way out in the middle of nowhere here or there or some other things. So when I could have done auto crop on that, it took everything off. So my
Okay.
normal crop I have in there takes off like 15 or 20 pixels around the edges, maybe
Mhm.
30 or 40. And I usually do that, and that usually crops out exactly what I need. But you'll have that one little panel that shows up, and you can just overstretch it, and it gives you the light of all your panels, and you can see where it's been dithered. And I just use that as a reference. I can do the crop on that to get everything I want that's not got the feathered edges off it, and then I just
Okay.
put it over onto the normal.
That's pretty cool. You're talking about that. What's that target you're on right now? Are you done with it yet?
I'm done with that. My scope probably still sees it. When you put 85 hours on it, it's like, yeah, I'm watching this the rest of the month, the rest of the year.
Okay.
But yeah, what I got behind me now is that's only like 4 or 5 hours. It's in the same area, so I want to get at least 16 hours on that, and then also add on more hours to the Flaming Star Nebula with the spider and the fly and all that, and the tadpoles.
Yeah,
That
that's
610
spider
mosaic I'm
fly.
working on.
That stuff's looking really good. I can't wait to see that. All right. So does anybody have any questions? I mean, you enter a keyword, you moved it to post, you make sure you're choosing the panel. And you're not auto, you're auto by panel. And then you choose a directory of where it's all going to go. And basically, it tells you everything it's going to do. Then you would hit run.
Now, don't you do diagnostic first, just to see if there's something you missed?
Well, I quit
That's
doing
what
that.
I did.
It's probably
That's what I
smart to
did.
It'll pop up a warning if it's missing or anything like that.
Right.
Cool.
So let's just pop it up. So this particular camera, like if it's DSLR, I highly recommend you don't even bother to do these flat darks, but you do a bias instead because of temperature ranges and all that. But we don't need to do that with this particular camera. It is a typical ZO camera that is cooled in Chile. And then when you hit run, there you go. And I'm not going to do that because that would take about 3 or 4 hours on my computer.
That's where you have those fast cores kick in.
That's right.
If not, you just put 40 cores like I got sitting over here to my left. I just put 40 cores onto that, 2.7 gigahertz each, and it'll chew through them all fairly quick.
I thought I was good at 25.
Well, we got one that's better. He's already sent me the product that which we're going to work on.
Okay. And then we got, let me show you how we do the mosaic. So in the master, your master folder, these babies right here will pop out. They're auto crop. So if you turn off the auto crop where John showed us, you'd crop them yourself. Actually, this got all the data, so auto cropping worked on this one. So these are the. Let me just open them up so you see them. And then I'm gonna do 3 processes and turn this over to Merrill. And these are just rejection frames from the cropping. We don't need those. Oops, what did I do there?
Click the top right corner there with a little window.
That one there?
Right, yours in the far left side over there. That's where yours are at. Way over on the left side, top left. You can
That?
down one of those. Yeah,
There we go. Yeah. Thank you.
yeah. I do that every once in a while. It drives
That's
me nuts. Like,
annoying.
where'd it go?
That's right. And I'm blown up right now so you can see everything better. So I have to, this is normally on my normal screen. So here's the raw data of all three panels. And then, since we have these, we can do, the good news about this, I put John Holderman's talk on mosaics in there for a reason, because we're not going to deal with it. All the defaults worked on this. So you can get by with all. And you start with a script called image analysis and image solver. And then you want a list of files. I'll just clear these out. I'm going to add the files that I just showed you, which is right in here. These three. And all you have to do at this point is hit OK. And as you can see, it's going to output these files in the WCS format, all image solved.
Well,
So
same format as the XISF. It just puts a identifier before the extension of the file name. So you'll see autocrop underscore WCS dot
yeah,
XISF.
which is they're not like the world calibration system or something like that. I
Yeah.
think that's something like that. Okay, and then when you do that, I threw everything in the mosaic folder here. I just created a mosaic folder and threw it in. These files popped out. Then we have to do another script process, script, which is, where is it? Mosaic. And John went into some of these other scripts in his talk, but mosaic by coordinates is the one I used here. And I'll clear these out. And then I'll add them. So the files with the WCS, you add those. And this is going to save with a new modifier called RA, which is not right ascension. I mean, it's something else. I don't know what it is.
You can put whatever you want there. I think that's just the default they have.
Right. So, and then all these defaults work. So I just hit OK. And then the final thing is, instead of a script, is an actual process, which is a gradient merge mosaic. And I use the defaults here, and then I hit add file for these with the RA extension. And you just hit this button here. It's going to save it to the folder, the same folder you're in. And when that happened, it created this file right here. And there's the mosaic all together. And then I think Meryl's going to get on to how to crop it and all that, right, Meryl?
Well, we are going to process it.
Okay.
Not
Are you
me.
going to crop? Are you going to crop it?
Yeah, I'll start off with it.
Okay, good.
So
So basically, are there any questions about either WPPP or the quick three processes for mosaics? All right, Meryl, I'm going to stop share.
okay, now got it. All right. Well, before I share, what's the first thing you do when you the first thing I recommend you do before you process an image? Anybody?
You
Take a
find
stiff drink.
like
You do what?
you find an image online that you like.
There you go. Good call.
Mi-
Now, if I could
Michael,
just,
Michael came through for you, Merrill.
yes, he did. Okay, so what I just did a search, and that's kind of what it's supposed to look like when it all gets done. So you always have that endpoint in mind when you do the process. It works for me as I start thinking about what's next in the steps. So I will refer to that from time to time during this whole rigmarole. So here's Steve's mosaic. Is that good enough for you? Get this whole screen? I don't know what
Yeah, we see it all.
you're good. Okay, I took the liberty of going ahead and put the dynamic crop. Everybody know how to do that? I can start from the beginning if you want me to.
Well, you show us where the process is.
Okay, well, it's on my, I keep my icons there. But
Okay.
you can go to the process dynamic crop and right there.
Yeah.
What I've used this, I know John's got his, and whatever works for you. The things you use most often, you keep the settings in each one of these processes or scripts, and that way and then you save a project file, and so these things are always there ready to. And I basically keep it in the order of the flow in basic flow. Anyway, so there's the dynamic. This is how I lined it out. You can move it around in the box, but try to get as much of the image as possible. So we'll go ahead and execute that. Let's compare that to the endpoint. Yeah, got a little bit of ways to go, don't we? So
Just a little bit.
okay, so this is where audience participation comes in. So what does everybody do at this stage?
Get your box of crayons out.
That'd be real fine point crayons, though.
Call Merrill. That's what we do.
No,
Call Merrill.
what no, there's what I do is, and somebody said it earlier. I think it was Keith. The Borex. I do the deconvolution, and then
Do
there's
the correct only,
well, I
or you do the whole thing.
I do the whole thing, but we've had a
Default.
conversation. Go ahead.
Oh, is that like the default settings for it?
That's what I do. Now there is some.
That's not the default for sure.
Yeah.
That's Merrill's default.
That's my default. What the neat thing about this, we can do it and then compare it to the. Oh wait, I should have. Let me stop it. I should have made.
Really?
I'm gonna pause it here just a second, if I can. You know, you want to abort. Okay, I'm gonna make a clone just so we can go play with it. See, compare the two. Okay, so we're going to do the Borex on the whole thing, and then we'll do a correct only
Yeah.
and see if there's a noticeable
And-
difference.
And Keith, Ladley, is he still here?
Yeah.
Okay. You see on this screen, Keith, there's something called adjust
there.
star halos.
Right where the hourglass is.
Yeah, and you move that sucker left and they reduce.
Yep, got it.
And we'll go to the SETI Astro stuff as we go through the process there. That's a big file.
It is. So aren't you glad I didn't 3x drizzle it?
So what if you look at the stars and what it did to them? It deconvolved them. So you go from here to here, tighten them up nicely, tightened up the nebulosity. Okay, so that's the full meal deal there. So let's try this the correct only and see if it's noticeably different.
Yeah, I think the correct only all it's going to do is just the stars.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything with halos, but in the edges of this, the camera is not that great, Merrill, and you'll see some distortions that it fixes.
Well, yeah, but it also, this is a crop of that, so you probably didn't get much of the edges,
Yeah, that's true.
remember, so.
Yeah, I wish mine took 38 seconds to run. I'm like minute and a half to 2 minutes on my slow net video card.
Okay, so we're gonna take a look at these before and after. It did change some. Uh, so I'm gonna compare it to the other one. Does everybody know what I just did there? You can drag
Yeah.
this label on top of this label,
Oh.
and it lines up exactly. This to me is tighter than this one.
Mhm.
Stars, don't you think?
Mhm.
So that's why I use the default everything.
No, that's the Merrill default. I usually run it twice. I usually do the correct only and toward the beginning, do my image solve, do the SPCC and all that stuff. Then I'll usually do the BlurX default, which has everything on it afterwards.
A lot of people do that on the internet, I've noticed, John.
What
I think I just do it to tighten the starter
They
with
do
it.
the
So
correct,
definitely with image solve.
Yeah, they do the correcting, so when it goes to SPCC, it'll do a better job over there.
why would it? I mean, I hear what you're saying. Why would it make that? Doesn't make sense. What you're looking for is good stars that you can identify the centers, and so you have a more concise star.
Well, I'm thinking more like in less expensive data, there's going to be some distortions on the edges if you're not, and that's where it really comes in handy if they get corrected.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing stopping you from doing like what he just did, do the whole
Right.
thing on it. It's just
Yeah.
that what I've seen out online when I was starting to do it, it's like, oh, just do this first and do all that crap, and you
Yeah,
come back and
that's
do
right.
this. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. I mean,
That's right.
now it's become like a habit, and it's on my list.
Yep. Well, yeah, there's general work. Yes, I agree. But if I look at this star here versus this star here, this is correct only, and this is the full deal. Now, if you go back and tighten it up at the later on in the process, I'm not sure it makes a difference. Okay, so
Yeah.
we're gonna close that window. So the next thing is what? Les, you know what the next one is, right? Next thing.
Channel combination. I'm trying to read it off the screen. It's kind of small.
No, we're not. We've already.
Oh, you already did that. Clone stand. SPCC? Is that it?
Yep, that's what we do. But do you think we got astrometric data in here?
Somebody did a plate solve on it, didn't they?
No, we'll see.
But it was just cropped, so that plate solved is
It
done.
failed.
Oh, so once you crop it, then it
Yeah,
messes all that up.
you lose the data.
Right.
So
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
Because they created a new file and they didn't transfer the solution over. Yeah, I don't think you choose center of the when you did the mosaic merge, you can do with the center coordinate that may have added it to it, but
oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. I've just never.
so this is the tool that
No.
Steve used earlier, and
Can I ask a question? Doesn't WBTP also do registration?
but you have an option in there where you can actually do an image solve in there as well,
Right.
Right. Okay.
and that way it'll spit the file that already
But-
image solved.
In this case, Les, we had a mosaic, we had to crop it, so any image solving would be over.
yeah, once you crop, you've
So
lost.
that would have been wasted by doing
Yeah.
it that early. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. So plate solve it again?
Yeah, we're gonna do that. I think this is NGC 6726.
I've gotten to the point I don't even type that crap in. I just hit OK on it.
Yeah, I do too. I've never have to enter into that crap.
As long as you got the right extension and declination coordinates that are supposed to be in there,
Okay, we'll see. We'll just
I
see.
hit OK and he solves it.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know that those are the right numbers, but
And-
let's.
Well, you don't have the right date on there either. That's going to be the problem because it's showing 2000.
Yeah.
You have to correct the date on it.
What do you do? September?
I don't know.
It
Roughly
roughly
that time frame.
rough,
be
roughly. Okay, well, let's see if it works. I mean, I always have better luck if I search because when I know what it is,
Mhm.
we'll find out. See what if it does.
It probably won't work since I mentioned it. So
Yeah, I knew it.
You know, I've got Grok, which is AI, and I pasted one of my files in there and asked, "Where is this?" And it knew exactly in the sky where it was.
11,000 stars found. Okay, yeah, it's the default was working.
well, we don't know yet. So I've had to go through this whole process and spit the very end out, going, "Sorry."
It's looking good.
I'd say it usually say,
Nope. See,
Oh, oh, there.
no.
can't find a valid set of star pair matches.
All right, we'll stop. We'll stop this and then go back here and do the plate. Okay, yeah.
Give it your name, image name.
So we'll try.
Because it's in mosaic, so it has no clue where it's at. So that's why I went to the default area there. Whereas if you had a single file that came out and you didn't want to do it, I usually just hit OK on it and it works
That's
99% of the time.
and I don't know. There's several NGC targets in there.
6723,
23, 26, 23,
23 is
23.
that's what it was named by Brent.
Okay. But I think there's about 4 or 5 of them that are real
Oh yeah.
right there. Okay, so we'll go with that. And then we'll change the date. All right, now we'll see if we can do it. Cross your fingers. It looks like it's trying to anyway.
Yeah. If I need to do like a little short thing on this on how to set up the catalogs for it when you download all the 60 gig of them off the Fixed Insight site.
That would be handy.
Store that, put that on your
Meryl, put that on the
file
list.
backup.
What was I missed that.
John, do a quick talk on how to.
Not me. You one of y'all can do that.
John, I'll do a quick talk. Like I said, John, will do a quick talk on how to put the proper information in image solver to go find.
Okay.
The catalog, you're adding the catalog to it for
But
SBC.
it is a good topic though.
It is a good topic.
Convergence reached. There we go. All
There
right.
you go.
So now we have the astrometric data on here, and I don't know. This is set up for my camera. I don't think it's going to make a whole lot of difference.
It would be a Sony R.
We'll just go.
Yeah, that'll be close enough.
It'll be close enough. So we're calibrating the color of these stars versus the average spiral galaxy for the white point, I guess. By virtue of these graphs, that looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, that looks good.
So, all right. And we'll nuke this guy. So the colors, we'll take a look at the color compared to that. We've got a lot of brown we got to get. Starting to see some blue though. Okay, what next?
Well, it doesn't look like you need to get rid of any of the green cast or nothing.
Well, you can either get rid of the green or you can just get rid of the gradients.
Okay, well, let's just see. Let's see if there's
We
any.
do the greens first.
I don't think it matters, but let's get rid of the green. Yeah, that helped. Okay. And
Now,
Your Bayer matrix has like a RGB, so it's got 2 green pixels, a red pixel, and a blue pixel.
Yep.
So you get a heavy on the green to begin with. So that's CNR.
it definitely helped.
Well, you can go and configure for the green channel and take some of it, knock it down a little bit so it doesn't overshadow everything else or overpower everything else.
So the next question is, there's about 4 different gradient tools. What's everybody's choice on this one?
The one thing I noticed with the gradient correction that PixInsight just added was it kind of like levels everything up to the gradient instead of bringing it all down a lot. Then the DBE, I know, is your favorite, and I've been using the SETI Astro automatic dynamic background extraction tool, which seems to me is doing a really good job.
Yeah, we'll do some comparisons. We got a clone here. I actually, John, I've been lately using the automatic convergence simplified model, and that usually works pretty well for me.
Yeah, I just haven't had the time. Well, I've had plenty of times now. I got around to looking at it over and over and over to tickle all the settings to figure out which one looks the best.
I always use all three of them, and I'd say 6 times out of 10, dynamic background extraction I think does the best job.
Your manual points or the automatic?
Manually put the points in.
Okay. It certainly changed. Do you see what it did to the image? I'm going back. It looked like it took a lot of the brown out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back here. Let's try the SETI Astro automatic DBE.
This basically he's using pixel math.
Yeah, because he does several processes. When you look at it as it goes by, he does an actual automatic background extraction, and he uses that model it creates to figure out where he wants to put all the data points and stuff at for the dynamic background extraction, and then he goes back and does it off it.
Sometimes this is just superior. You know, like I said, I do all 3 and I compare them, and I say, okay.
Yep. Well,
I get tired of putting little dots over the damn place on the dynamic background extraction.
Well, you can have it automatically put 10 per row, and
well, I know, but then you got to go move stuff off a star here or there.
True.
And I'm like, I either missed one. I'm like, oh crap. So I was like, ABE worked pretty good for a while. Then I did the little gradient one for a little bit, and I even the Grack spurt a little bit, and then but now with this tool, it's like
that's
what came out.
It took out some browns. Looks like to me.
Yeah.
Come on. So we want to compare it to this one here.
Fairly close.
Yeah, this seems to me have more depth to it, but this has more brown to it.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
It's one of those where I think if you look at the settings he's got by default and go play with it a little bit, you can probably get a little better quality of it. I usually use the defaults out of it, and that's good enough for me.
Okay, so let's just go with the setting.
The truth is that there wasn't a lot of gradient problems with this.
No, there wasn't.
For this file, and again, that's because of the local normalization did its job when we did the WBPP.
Yeah, because sometimes I don't even do the background extraction because it's like if I can't see the gradient by my eye, and if I run it against it and look at it, it's like sometimes it takes stuff away. I'm like, I'll just go back and just skip it.
Okay, next step. Come on, come on. And Freddie, what do you think? Oh,
I don't have my notes, so this time I will pass.
You look at the screen, looks like it's getting noise
How much noise is in there,
Look on
Meryl?
the screen, Freddie.
Out
Look
of it?
on the right.
Look at the noise.
No, I cannot see it.
The cheat sheet's on
Ask
the
him to
right.
blow that up.
I say there's a lot of noise. We're gonna
Yeah.
run.
Yeah,
We're gonna run noise X.
no, that
Yeah.
noise X. Okay.
Uh, One of the nice things about this, Freddie, is that this is going to be recorded, or it is being recorded, and you can refer back to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, where are my notes? Oh, okay. I found them.
There you go. Yeah, I got rid of a lot of the
Look
noise.
at that. I just that is
Wow.
a powerful tool.
That is a fabulous. I remember
Yeah,
back.
it's worth the money on that one.
Yeah.
Oh man, yes. Okay, what's before we stretch it? What's the last thing that you do, John, at this stage? Anything?
Does it look green, Meryl? Because we can't tell at our end that.
I can't. I can hit it again with a green, but it doesn't. No, let's just see.
Yeah.
I didn't see any change at all.
Now, usually I know at some point here I'll yank the stars out and process those separately. Then that way you have all the nebula stuff there.
Yeah, what
Do anything else on?
in the linear form state? I mean,
Yeah.
Wow, I hate linear state. What I would do,
Oh, with the SETI, since I'm using the dual narrowband filter, when I yank them out, when I go to the SETI tools, I can do the narrowband to RGB, and it's got the little auto stretch, the star stretch in there as an option. So I click on that, and it takes care of all that in one shot.
Yeah.
And then I can go back and do the stretch
That's
on
why
the
people,
screen.
Meryl, that's why people are starting to do it in the linear state now. You strip this because of SETI Astro's star stretch.
Yeah,
Which
now
really- it does a
there
good job
is-
with colors.
Yeah, there is the example. One thing you didn't want to do is if you like a galaxy, you want to go to the non-linear state, then yank them out, because sometimes when you yank the stars out, you actually might take some of the stars out of the galaxy that you don't want to take out.
right,
Right.
So,
right. Well, I would normally saturate a little bit. That's just what I would do. Just start getting.
Yeah. You saw in the original you needed some blue. Might as well start getting it in there.
And we're starting to get some more browns and the blues coming out.
Yeah. That was good. That was a good move.
All right, that's a good. We can saturate later.
Right.
Okay, now compared to the blues are not quite as blue and brown's not quite as brown, but we still got work.
Mhm.
that's just slowly getting there.
All right, this is where we got to stretch it. So there, we have some options on stretching. I'm gonna get rid of this guy here. So we don't need that anymore, do we? As soon as I do,
Oh wait, we need that one.
yeah, it's too late. Okay, this. Well, okay, so we got the choices are manual stretch, SETI Astro, statistical stretch, or the one thing that I always worry about in something like this is how well do we protect this cluster? I mean, the star cluster. So let's try a couple different ones this time. And the one that I use from time to time is a mass stretch. You ever use that, John?
No.
Well, what it does, it handles the stretch real gingerly. I can spell mask. You know, the other tool that you taught us, John, was the find the background.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Now you could probably make it close enough that you just guess, but for those, what we're looking for is the background reference. So this can do the calculations just right. So you find the background and it does its thing, and it'll find some piece of space that is representative of the background. Because it does make it.
Yeah, you just got to be careful when where it selects it to go look at it before you go any farther, because sometimes you might get a dark nebula thinking it's the actual background and it's not.
Okay.
So always look, make sure it's the star field area with it in that vicinity.
Well, we'll look at it. At times I've used it just a little black square.
Yeah, it doesn't take much. Better than playing the Find Waldo game.
Yes. So do we now have it?
Yeah, I
Yep.
see it there. Yep.
Center, bottom.
It looks pretty good to me.
Yep. Well,
So-
go back and you look at the whole screen, the whole image.
Oh,
You'll see it's the center
yeah.
bottom down there, right above the star. So you see it's in the star field area there, where you didn't want it was like farther up in the dark nebula area, making sure you don't want to get that selected. So it knows that it's a higher gradient than what that one there is.
Very handy. That's good. It lets you know that's a good area.
But you can look here too, and so but it looks good. So what you drag this over to the target here, and that's the background target, and then you just run it, and we'll do it. We'll compare this mass stretch, which will take work to do, but it handles the stars and the globular cluster differently.
Yeah, Mara showed me this particular process about 2 weeks ago. It might have been Les was on that call, and
No, it was Alan.
it did a better job with. Okay, yeah, so it did a better job for that particular target. That's why you got to experiment.
And people ask for the process, which process is used, and the word always is depends.
That's right.
Okay, so if you look at the stars, they're not real stretched, but this thing is really wacky.
That did a great job.
Now, let me look at the histogram here. Yeah, let's go take a look at now. Let's do the SETI Astro and compare the two as the statistical stretch. So we're going to call that a
I'd probably put 0.12 there because of the globular, but I don't know. Maybe compromise, do 0.2.
Well, you just hit the refresh your preview, and you can get an idea on the right side there.
yeah.
Give you an idea what it looks like.
Let's just go ahead.
Don't hit execute. Very bottom long bar. There you go.
It's just, to me, it's just easy execute and look and go back.
Yeah, undo.
Yeah, it spits out a ton of pixel man. So now take it from 0.25 down to like 0.15. It'll darken it up some.
Yeah.
Did I execute it?
Yeah, you hit execute on it. So look at the actual screen behind
Have it just have it. This histogram there looks
That looks great.
good compared to this guy.
You can actually make it darker and stretch it some more, a little bit more on the SETI Astro one.
Yeah.
When you look at his, so it's got a room to get a little darker and then stretch a little more.
That might have been.
That looks like it. Is this one here? You look in the bottom center area. It's got artifact. Looks like down there.
Where's that at? Which one?
The one you're on right now.
The one you're on now.
You
Looks
mean-
like
Go back.
Yeah.
Go down.
I
Scroll back out a little bit.
down. Okay.
Zoom out. In other words. Yeah. See right there in the middle,
Yeah, the black.
center bottom, and
Yeah.
over by your globular on the left side, bottom left side of the globular, there's a little spot there too that is not looking.
You don't think that exists in this one?
Well, it probably does. It just hasn't been stretched to death to see it.
Yeah, I was gonna. This
You can barely see it where the globular is on the bottom right of the globular. If you scroll the other one to the left a little bit, you'll see it on the globular where it's at.
Well, this to me is overstretched. The
Right.
No,
max.
see where they, yeah, so
Oh.
you can tell it looks like that was where, kind of looks like where this two of the panels overlapped and you had a star on the edge of it. And then you got that flare off the one side. Because look, you got one down at the bottom there and the one up on the left of the globular.
Yeah.
And you can see it on the right side on the globular here, just barely making it out. Not to see me pointing it on my screen, but in the
Yeah.
same spot there, you can see it.
Okay, but look at the difference between the globulars on both. This
Yeah.
the MASstretch did a better job of the globular.
It did.
Well, that's why if you remove the stars out, then do the statistical stretch on it, and then do the stars separately, you have more control over how the stars are going to look.
I mean, I'm trying to get this so we can do a kind of a close comparison. These stars over here are blown out. That what they're 0.85, 0.89, 0.9. What are these? See, they're 0.8. So they're really question is which one do we want to deal with? Or we can do both. But tell you what, let's see what we get if we can save the MASstretch and come back to it. So how do we save it? To me, it looks
Stretch a little bit.
to me it looked like I carried some noise over. I'm gonna get rid of some noise just to see what it did on the histogram here. Didn't have much. Nice. What I would also do, if it was totally mine, and I'd try to line up these curves, get a kind of a balance. That brought out more of the browns. The way I kind of think about it, if those things are the peaks are lined up, that's been very successful for me. The other thing we could do on that one is an little S curve here. This is what you don't like, Steve, is having the preview window.
Yeah. That's why I think Cyril will eventually pass these people if they don't change their interface.
But Cyril has the instant.
Yeah, they don't play the preview game.
Well, I'm not sure this is salvageable. I mean,
Yeah, it was overstretched to begin with.
the artifacts are really, like John pointed out.
Yeah.
Like,
The way to fix those artifacts, you have to go back to when you do the mosaic, and once the mosaic's made, during that last step, there's a spot where you want to start trimming the edges back and feather it more, and to get rid of those star casting like on one side that you're seeing.
And
Well,
if everybody looks at the chat, I got a link to that talk.
yeah, you can almost see that edge of that frame starting and going all the way down.
Yeah, because I've been like choosing like 10 and then like 85 on the other option. That gives a 85 on the feathering, and it really just blends in pretty good.
Well, we'll say MASstretch will help the globular, but not this guy. So all right. Well, what are we going to do?
Well, this one here you can probably stretch a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, do we want to use the hyperbolic stretch? So what do we want to stretch? You want to stretch some of this maybe right there? Let's see.
And so you're starting to see where the artifacts are starting to come back out.
Yeah, sure enough.
Is
Just want to play with it here. Yikes. Whatever. Let's try this just for fun. No.
going through a cloud.
Hey, what?
So you were going through a cloud there for a second.
I don't know. Give up on this one. Let's just try some. I'm going to try just a histogram stretch a little bit. Now we're working on this without the. I mean, well, it's combined. Wow. Okay, that's starting to make a difference. What's your opinion of separating the nebulosity? I think we ought to try that because we could probably reduce the brightness of the globular by separating them.
Well, you can bring a lot of that bright. You can do an HDRMT
Yeah, yeah.
and really help that globular.
Okay, so we got this globular here is blown out compared to, well,
I would do the HDRMT before you separated the stars.
okay, good idea. Let's just try. Now, I have Russell's original version of color corrected HDMRT, so I'm just going to try 8 layers. 6 usually is probably about right.
This is one of the most powerful tools in PixInsight, I feel.
Before and after. I think it helped the nebulosity for sure.
It did. We might have the wrong number in the scale.
It could be. I mean, that was the highest scale. Let's try it.
Something you got to play with. Yeah, I mean, when everybody's processing this.
Let's try a 6 just to see. That's what I normally.
Meryl, let's do it the other way. Let's choose. Can you choose a process?
Yeah, you want to show it.
Yeah,
Yeah, because that's the more.
and go all the way down to wavelets. It's up toward the bottom, or you can do HDRMT here. Yeah.
And you're saying
You hit 2 intensity, and then the lightness mask, and then you got it.
Okay, so this is 6 layers. This is
Yeah.
the same as I was just doing because Russell built this into the HDMRT tool.
And just play with that number of layers. You just play around with it.
And one thing we also haven't done is the local histogram.
Yeah.
I kind of like what it did there.
Yeah, it did. It's making it pop.
I'm going to do. Okay, that's before.
All right.
Here's after. Oh yeah,
And I bet it helped. I bet it helped the globular as well.
yeah, it did. It absolutely did. Let me just try, let me hit a little bit of a local histogram.
Yeah, 2.5 is good.
But the dust is really starting to come out, which is really nice. Now, I didn't see a huge difference, did you? This is only 25%.
Right. I find that I have to do 2 or 3 of those usually.
Yeah. Well, let's just do 2 or 3. Doesn't cost anything. That's way too much to me.
Yeah, yeah.
That really made it harsh.
Mm-hmm. Starting to.
So I'm backing off of that. I can maybe. I think I'm not going to do any.
Mhm.
Okay, so we got that. Let me try. Let's do a little saturation here. You can see the artifacts down here starting to show up too, and here. That's starting to look pretty dang good.
I bet if you strip the stars out, you can get rid of those artifacts.
Well, okay, we can do that.
What is that tool, John's blaster? Something.
Maybe
Maybe
black.
you use Star X on it, and then use the
That's what I would-
blemish blaster
Image
in a few of
blaster.
the spots. The blemish blaster.
Blemish blaster, yeah.
Okay. That's got a lot of nice browns in it now too. It may
Right.
actually be a little bit oversaturated, but
I don't think so.
there's our stars.
You can tell where that seam is at.
Exactly. Well, we're talking about here, but you would use the blemish blaster. I find them again now.
You can zoom out of it. It's a little plus minus at the top
Yeah, well,
because you've got to go back up because
how did I? Oh,
There
I went
you
down
go.
off the chart, didn't I? You do 2 of them. Those you remember this, John did a great presentation last month on all these SETI tools. Okay. Yeah, I took care of that. This is very nice. Okay, do we want to try to do something with this cluster?
Yeah, bring it over there. Let's look at it.
What if we just, I don't know what to do other than let's just take a look at it and see what it does.
You're saying that's a seam, John?
yeah, it looks like it's Because you can see right below where the star was at, that you got the two different colors on the side where it's kind of flared out. And
Mhm.
so you can follow it straight up. It looks like that's where the seam was. And you see going through the dust farther up, you can see there's a slight
Yeah.
little path right there.
On,
And that's where that feathering would have got rid of all that.
Well, that blaster took care of it.
well, yeah, if you, Steve, when we had that start, I mean, the mass stretch,
Yeah.
you could see way up in the image that you could see where the seam was.
Okay, interesting. So rather than use the defaults like I said, John, what number should I put in there?
I found that if you use like a 10 on the first number and then like a 80, mid 80 range on the second number. So
Okay.
10, what the 10 does, it looks at the edges and takes 10 pixels away from the edge. So it makes it a cleaner edge, even though you already cropped it. But then the 80 is a feathering in about 80 pixels, and it feathers it in between the two different panels. So it kind of like taping over the seam, like when you're doing drywall or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened here? Now
Oh, you just saw it on the preview. You didn't execute it for the main frame, the main image.
I thought I did well. What a silly thing.
And it happens to the best of us, Merrill.
Yes, it does. I thought I hit execute. That's right. It didn't save as the main image. Duh. Well, we know what to do.
Yeah, because you can go through and target all your blemishes in one shot, multiple times here, here, here. And when you get done, then apply to the main image. It'll apply every one of them to it.
We'll just get a little bit bigger circle here. We'll get a little circle here. I don't like that. Can I undo that one? How do I get rid of that? What's the
It's in the instructions there. Is it?
yeah, no, I
Right
can't-
click. If you want to get rid of the circle, right click on it.
Gotcha. A little bit tighter circle. Okay, now I'm just going to apply it. We know that works.
Mhm.
Get ready to remove more blemishes. Still
That's weird.
says ready to move, but it didn't take it.
It didn't take.
So what are we doing wrong here?
Probably just needs to reboot everything, but we don't need to do that for this presentation.
Well, I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a joke. Third time's charm.
All right.
Okay, we'll get these guys here with this.
Maybe you do need to execute it before you apply it.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
So you can't go right to just apply it to the main image.
Mhm.
We'll find out. Yeah, okay, it does say processing the blemish.
Yeah, and then when it gets done, then you can apply to the main image, and it will apply to the main image.
Okay.
Everything you do in the blemish blaster, if you create a little circle spot here, it creates an image for it in the background you don't see. That fixes it. Then you go through and pick everything you want to fix, and then have an image for each one of them. And then when you go to apply the main image, it'll apply all that it knows back to the main image to override it.
Gotcha. That's better than doing the clone stamps.
Yeah, the only thing I hate about the clone stamp is when you can specify what size you want, but you got to remember, okay, I'm looking at a circle this big, but this little X on the other end. So when you go to cover up what you want, you really look where your X is at. If it's near a star, you're going to get a copy of that star where you're going to click. And that's why I wish it'd give you a different color circle on the back end to say, this is what it's going to take here and put it here. So you can see where I'm too close to this, it's going to put it in there.
Don't exit yet until you hit apply.
I thought we did. I did.
Oh, okay. I didn't see you do it. Good.
Did you apply to the main image or whatever?
Yes, blemish removal on main image complete.
There
Okay,
you
good. Yeah, you can get out of there now.
And look, they came back.
No, it's fine. Looks good.
what do we want to do while we're in this state here?
Well, you should have got that one below the bottom left there in that one little spot.
Oh, crap. So let's pretend we did.
That's right.
Okay. That looks noisy to me. I'm just going to run noise X one more time, just see if it makes any difference. Now, how many hours of data was this?
Like 3.
Hmm. Well, it's probably not going to get much better than that.
Mm-hmm.
It did help though. Smooth it out a little bit. Do we want to do any more saturation at this point?
Yeah, I think that your default one's bluer.
Yeah, more saturation, always better.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Let's take a look at a different color of blue, but this blue here is brighter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They didn't do HDRMT.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
They let it blow out there.
Yeah, that they did actually. You're right.
Yeah,
Okay.
they didn't put a big old crater on their image either. So
Do we want to saturate the stars anywhere over here?
now's your chance if you get any color out of them, better color.
Well, this is where I play around with the reintegration. Ah, dang it.
Now you might want to shrink the stars out when you reintegrate.
That's what I play around with. What do I want to do? Any integration? I mean, any shrinking? So we got the clone A. It's the Mosaic clone ADBE. I should have renamed these things. That's it. And then clone stars. We're going to try it. Let's just try a 10% reduction. Just see what that looks like.
This is a great repository. I'm going to put it in the chat. If you don't have this RS Astra reintegrate stars, I recommend you get it.
That doesn't look.
You got that blue cast that's in your starless image has got a blue cast to it all over.
Right here.
That's that. Well, I'm talking about the whole image overall. In the corners, you got a blue cast with the blue.
Yeah, that's true.
Cast. And you got the split on the globular because of the scene.
Let's see if we can correct some of this out here. Yikes. To me, that's way oversaturated.
Yeah.
The blues look better though.
Yeah, but here's what you do. You can take your saturation down a little bit.
You know, SCRN, you can click blues.
Yeah, but I think we need to take all the saturation down.
Okay, good.
Now that's starting to get back in range. Now we can saturate the blue a little bit. There we go. I'm getting close. Check that. Well, guys, what do you think?
Well, other than the globular scene, a little more blue on the right around the that circle spot where the blue kind of circles around into the dust area. But you're also looking at what scope and stuff used on the right side that your reference image is
No idea. I just search for the
compared to your lovely little backyard 102 over on the left side
yeah.
and your 183 camera.
What did we introduce some gradient into this thing? I mean,
That's what the one thing that I had the question I thought about when we're when you merge doing the mosaic and where like we got the problem here where you see the star that's cutting through near that globular, so it's got a color cast on one side of it. I was sitting there going, that'd be nice if somebody made a gradient tool that you could just basically highlight what you want to fix a gradient.
yeah.
Not the whole image, just like put a mask over on the one side right there and just correct that image right there. Boom. Which I don't know if you can do a mask on top of that. I mean, freehand a mask and try a gradient on it. Just thought of that. You got the freehand mask you can make with Sediatra tools.
That's a fabulous tool.
And then you can probably mask everything else out except for what you want, and then see if you can run the gradient on that, see if it corrects just that one little gradient section. I was thinking if somebody had a gradient tool that had all that built in, you just highlight what you want, and just put a circle around this, fix that gradient section right there.
Yep.
Maybe I should email Frank and say, hey, get to work on it. Chop, chop. Waiting on you. You're making all these things tools freehand and everything else that are all outside of PixInsight now pretty much. You can make one in PixInsight too, so.
Well, that did actually, I think that actually helped.
Yeah. Less pronounced.
Okay.
Even on the globular, a little less pronounced on the split. You get more of the blue in the circle area there too.
Just one little bit of S curve. Oh, contrast here.
Too dark.
I think we ought to go to press with that.
I think you darkened it too much.
You think so?
But look at the globule looks better though.
That's true.
It doesn't
Yeah,
have
it
that
just
noticeable
depends
sheen.
on.
It's got that too dark.
Yeah, hit undo and redo and tell me if you agree. Yeah, I would probably do that because of the globular, what you did.
Okay. Well, we're not going to do anything with this. We're not going to give it to the theater member.
We're giving it to Smithsonian, aren't we?
Yeah, there you go.
Just put it in the meteorite. You're okay.
That's right. I'll do that. Yeah, I'll submit this to APOD. See what they say.
Yeah.
This clearly has the artifact here. So
You could have, if you spent time with Blemish Blaster, you could have dealt with that.
probably could have, yeah.
Yeah.
People like Keith and Michael and Les, any questions that you have of what we did? I mean, this is, to me, it's an iterative process. You take a look, what is the endpoint you want, and then go back and forth.
Yep.
And just play around. You make clones and compare different ways of doing it. And then the final judge is you. What looks good to you? Anybody else? Thoughts? No?
No.
Okay, well, we met Rick and Ann's needs here, even though they weren't here. But I will record. I mean, it's being recorded, and I'll make a YouTube video the next day or two. For the balance of the year, I'm going to say, like we did last year, December is crazy busy. So I'm going to suggest we skip December. Start the new.
No, skip December. My birthday, anniversary, wife's birthday is all in December. You just want to skip it?
Skip the
You're
S.
welcome. You're welcome, John. You're welcome.
And then there, like, man, it saved me a ton of money. Why didn't I think of that before?
Skip the astrophotography meeting for and then start January. And I'll put on the Slack channel the request for what's the best day since we're starting the new year, and then I'll ask for topics. And what do we have John lined up for yet?
Nothing. It was not posted in Slack. You can tell me to do it. So.
I'll work them, Merrill. We'll get
something.
We'll get something going there. Those of you who like Cyril, you can process this you can do request a meeting and show us how you do it in Cyril if you want. Like Merrill always says, you're the customer. Whatever you guys need.
We'll try to meet whatever you need. So,
well, you probably need to make a Cyril channel in the Slack area.
Mm-hmm.
That way they can have all their cuties over there.
Oh, you mean Brian by himself?
Yeah.
Well, I think Adam's part of the Brian Club.
I think I'm just kidding. I had to get my dig in for Brian.
Because I did post out there the Cyril 1.4 sneak peek all the changes that they got coming for, even though I don't even use it. I used it a long time ago.
Well, it's
and
starting
still
to
kind of
improve.
young.
It's starting to improve.
Haven't used it lately.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, guys. I think that this was fun exercise. A lot of ground covered. I mean, I think we used the most complex thing with mosaics and
yeah, Mary, you could reprocess again, but yank the stars out early, then do all your color stuff on the nebula and all that stuff, and then do a little bit of color on the stars and then throw them back in and see how that works.
Mm-hmm.
Usually my final images are 2 or 3 generations of experiment.
Yeah, mine V1, V2, V3.
Yep. So, all right. Anything else? Nope. I can just figure out how to stop sharing here.
Well, what you made me do now is copy all the data off the drive over here to home for all this Chile data to work with now.
What isn't it already on the drive, Steve?
Yeah, it's on your drive, but it's not on mine.
It's on Keith's drive.
Yeah.
So it's
on the NAS.
What I'm going to do is tomorrow, since we process this, and some of us here might want to play around with it, I'll put a link off of memphisastro.org. I'll send it. I'll put it on the Slack channel, and then it'll be 3 zip files for the lights, the different panels, and then a zip file for the calibration frames, the darks, flat darks, flats.
No, I'm copying everything over to mine at home here.
Yeah.
I'm saturating one of my gig network lines.
That's right.
But I think Brent put everything he took on the Keith's drive. So does it?
I think Brian did all that. I think Brian took it off of
Brian did. Okay.
drive.
Well, thank you, Brian. Does anybody want access that doesn't have access to that?
Is Freddie still here?
But no, it looks like
he bailed.
He dropped off.
If you want it, you got to talk to Freddie.
But just put a note in the Slack channel, and you'll get access to it. Very fast drive.
Yeah, I've got about 18 gig copied over by now. A 17.1 at the moment.
Okay,
that's impressive. That's fast. You got decent connection.
It is very
fast. I got a C-Spire 1 gig line, and I've also got the North Central 1 gig line. So
okay.
1 gig networks. Here.
Well, Keith has this on an optical, so it's a fast on his end. It's very fast.
Yeah, I got both of these are fiber, so I've got.
Yeah, his is fiber.
Wow.
The C-Spire is fiber to the house, and then North Central's fiber to the damn modem in my room up here. They brought fiber into the house all the way to the modem.
Nice.
That makes it really fast.
All right. I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to stop the recording if I can find it. All right, there it is.